Okay, so what is a boundary? A boundary is just something that has a limit. It's a clear defined limit of a starting and a stopping point that is really, really emotionally loaded when it comes to our personal life. There are so many boundaries in this world that a lot of them we have control of and a lot of them we don't have control of. And I think I'm going to talk to the girls now. I think as girls, we think we don't have a lot of control over many, many, many boundaries. And what we need to learn is that we do. We do absolutely have control. And there's so many boundaries that exist in this world. And the way that I kind of define it is that they come from three different places. There's the boundaries that we impose on ourselves, like not sitting down and eating a whole package of Oreo cookies. We kind of tell ourselves, that's probably not a good idea. I'm not going to feel good if I do that. So maybe I'll stop at 5. I know some of you can stop at 2. I'm more of a stop at 5 kind of girl, but that's just the way it is. It's the boundary that says, you know what, maybe I shouldn't drive 100 miles an hour because we all know that we speed. And even though law enforcement says that there is a speed limit of 55, we also have to put a boundary on ourselves of what we think is safe and appropriate for where we are. So those are the kind of boundaries that we put on ourselves. We put boundaries on others. We say yes or no or stop or start to so many things every day. And a lot of those boundaries come from our beliefs that we have talked about beliefs before. And third, the boundaries that are put upon us that we have no control over, that someone else is saying yes or no to what we do or what happens in our life. So those boundaries are three different things. And a lot of times boundaries move. They're not always cut and dry for all of eternity. I know my boundaries when it comes to certain things have shifted a lot when it comes to my personal life. And a lot of times, what has happened as I've gotten older is that because I become more comfortable in standing up for myself and saying no to people, my boundaries have shifted to be more conservative. I'm not walked on anymore. I'm not feeling guilty when the PTA president, which no shame to PTA presidents because I actually literally used to be one and I loved serving my school in that way. But I also knew that that position required me to ask a lot of people to volunteer. And now that I'm on the other side of the fence and I've completed that task, I checked that off my list of serving. I'm perfectly fine when someone calls me and says, "Hey, Dorie, we would love for you to sponsor this, or we need something for the bake sale, or we need you to chaperone this one type of thing." I can kind of say, "Yeah, no, no, thank you. I've done my time. I'm good." Another parent can help out in that way. But before I was PTA president, I would be feeling guilty if I didn't put in bring the cookies or sponsor the event or volunteer for the event, chaperone it or whatever. So that boundary has moved. The boundary of what my husband and I like to do together when it comes to travel or how we like to spend our Friday nights, that has changed with time. And then also in my business, what I will accept from a client and what I will not accept from a client has definitely moved. And I think a lot of us as small business owners can definitely relate to this in the fact that when we were a young business owner and we were first starting out and we wanted to make a profit so very badly and we wanted to prove that we were good at what we did, we took on many kinds of work that maybe we had no business taking, like a wedding that allowed no flash in a dark barn, and we didn't have the equipment or the skill level to provide a good result. Or when people ask us for special editing things and we say we will edit something and realize that those edits are going to take us 5 hours of time and we didn't charge extra for those edits. So those are just a few things of how boundaries shift, because I did that at the beginning and there's no way that I would do that now. I have firmed that up so my clients know, and it's clear, if they want 5 hours of extra editing time, they're going to have to pay for it. I'm happy to do it. Actually, I don't do it. I send it out. But I'm happy to accommodate that request, but it's not going to happen for free because that's not part of what the original thing that they bought into has. And a lot of building those boundaries and being able to say no and being comfortable saying no when it doesn't keep me up at night and it doesn't make me feel guilty and I don't worry if I make people mad is something that has come with time. So if you're not there yet, that's totally okay. But it's being conscious of these things that will make you better and it will come with time. It's totally okay. And I think for women especially, I believe that moving these boundaries is especially difficult because when we were young, I mean, I think this happens to all girls, and we need to change this, guys. We need to work with our girls. I have a 13-year-old now, and I'm always telling her to stand up for herself. But I realized at a very young age, I needed to be the example of the boundaries that she could set for herself. So, total side note is that when we would go to family gatherings, there were a few male relatives that she didn't dislike them. She just didn't want to hug them. Hello. And even as young as 4 or 5, I would have to step in and say, say, oh, come give me a hug, sweetie. And I would say, you know what? She'd be happy to give you a fist bump, but she doesn't need to hug you unless she really wants to. And by stepping in and showing her that setting that boundary was okay, I feel was really important. And we need to do that for our kids. We need to do that. It doesn't matter if I didn't see a problem with them giving someone a hug. It's the fact that they personally were not okay with it, and I need to step in and help them. So, okay, that's a side note. But when we're young, I especially think for maybe some older generations, we learn that if we say no to people, people may not believe that we truly, truly mean no, or they won't take us seriously. And for some reason, girls especially are trained at a very young age that they don't mean it when they say no. And we're second guessed every step of the way. And like in that example with my daughter, I could say that the pattern ends as we reach adulthood, but it doesn't. And we saw that in the Me Too movement a year and a half ago or so. And I think almost all of us can recall an incident when we say no to something and the person on the receiving end comes back and says, come on, you don't really mean that. You know, you really do want to help the PTA, kind of making us feel guilty for not wanting to do that. This happens, and it's some people always assume, like, okay, well, me too. Dorie's talking about sexually compromising positions, but that's really not what I'm talking about. That's a whole other animal that I could talk about all day long, but that's not really appropriate for this podcast. But if you take inventory of a normal week, you will probably find instances where you said no, and on the person on the other end didn't take you seriously. Or you wanted to say no, but you didn't because it was just easier to say yes and deal with whatever you were being asked to do than deal with the person after they heard an answer that they didn't want to hear. Um, Something that happened with my husband I would say a few months ago, I think really brought this to light for me. I've struggled with my weight for a really long time. I've always been on the heavier side. I've lost the same 100 pounds several times, and now I'm working on doing it again. It's a battle that I fight with myself all the time. And my husband has never had an issue with my weight. It's not something that he really mentions. He wants me to be healthy. I think that's where it comes down to. And so we have always had a habit of working out together. And throughout the course of the year, with my mother passing in March and with COVID and everything like that, I'm the first one to say the last place that I want to go or the last thing that I want to do on most days is work out. And I think this is probably an emotion that many, many people can relate to. I don't want to go to the gym and get sweaty. I just don't want to. And, my husband, we were doing a walking circuit around our block, and we were doing it about 3 times a week, but I hated it. I hated it so, so, so much. And through my mom's, passing and dealing with the grief of all that, I started seeing a counselor. And she basically there's a lot of things when you deal with a weight problem your whole life. You have, just that in and of itself is a boundary issue with myself. But she finally said, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And if you say no and someone else doesn't like it, you can't be responsible for their emotional response. So if you don't want to go walking, tell your husband you don't want to go walking, explain to him why. But if he doesn't accept it and he doesn't want to and he still keeps, "Oh, yes, come on, come on, come on, come on, go walking with me, come on." He needs to learn that that's a boundary that you've set. And so I had to sit down with my husband and I said, "Listen, I need you to respect me enough that when I say no about going on a walk or going to the gym, that I mean no. And it doesn't help me when you ask me this over and over and over again until I finally give in. Because if anything, you've made me resentful of you. And I don't want to be resentful of you. And I had to sit down and I had to have that conversation with him. And as soon as I had it, and he's so great, like he never would want me to feel the way that I was feeling. He totally backed off. And he still asks me if I want to go for a walk. And for me, it wasn't the part of getting the exercises. I didn't really like walking. But you know what I do love to do? I love to swim. I've always loved swimming. When I was pregnant with my daughter, and we got to about the 6th month, I would say, and it was the middle of summer, I lived in my friend's pool. I lived there. It was the most comfortable place for me to be as my body changed. It was cool. It was comfortable. I could swim. I could get some exercise, but I wasn't like sweating like at the gym. So we made a compromise. My husband and I, instead of going walking 3 days a week, now I go to the pool 3 days a week. I'm getting my exercise. I feel good about it. It's really great. It's so relaxing. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm taking better care of my health, but I'm not doing what we had originally started doing because I had to set that boundary with him. So setting a boundary with my husband is a little bit different because I can sit down and I can communicate with him how I'm feeling emotionally about what I'm being asked to do and why I feel put upon when he brought this up and how I need him to respect that boundary a little bit better. But how do you do it with clients? Well, I have a rule that kind of is one of those things where, and we see this a lot in the Facebook group. My client asked for this. How can I address this? My client asked for this. And I'm of the opinion that a client can ask for whatever they want. They could ask me to do a session on the moon. They could ask me to Photoshop in their dog in every photo that they have, but they didn't bother to bring the dog to the session. Mom could ask me to Photoshop off 60 pounds or to get her roots fixed when she didn't bother to go get her hair done before the session, or brighten all their teeth, or change the color of an outfit, or whatever they want. A client can ask me for free digitals. A client can ask me for anything they want. I mean, anything. And I've been asked almost for anything. Do you know that once I had a mom ask me to Photoshop off? This is so, I still laugh about it. Photoshop off the baby's umbilical cord because it hadn't fallen off yet. And I said, okay, so do you just Photoshop off the stump, basically, because that's what I call it. She's like, no, just take out the belly button altogether. She wanted to remove the belly button on all the baby pictures. So the baby just didn't have one. And she asked, I said no, but she asked. So a client can ask anything they want. It can be as outlandish as anything. But that doesn't mean I have to say yes. That somewhere in my business and what I do, I need to be able to say no to clients. And how do you do that? Because none of us want to just be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Because that's not awkward at all, right? But how do you gently say no to someone that is asking you to do something that they think is no big deal, but it's going to that's going to cost you hours and hours of time? Or there's a few ways that you can do this. I always find the easiest way to do it, if they're asking you to go above and beyond the scope of work that they hired you for when it comes to post processing or anything like that, is to say yes, but it'll cost a certain amount to do that kind of work. So say a new mom or someone wants their roots redone, and it's going to take quite a bit of time, or you're going to send it out to a retouching company to get done, but they're going to charge you. So you need to charge her to get this work done. So you say, oh, yeah, of course I can do that for you. That, though, is above and beyond the photoshopping, retouching services that is offered in the package that you purchased. So that will be an additional $25 per photo. What's she going to say? Ah, that's okay. Or maybe just do it on one or two. instead of the whole gallery. Once you add a price to their request, usually, usually they will back off. So this happens a lot with photographers. I think when it comes to retouching requests, they want, they, especially with weddings, you see this, they want the the boyfriend taken out of from the sister that was at the wedding and is in every family photo, but they broke up and he's long out of the picture, but they don't want him in the family photos anymore. So how do we get them out? Or we want Aunt Sarah photoshopped in because she was at the bar and we couldn't find her when we took this picture taken, right? All of those things can be done, but the easiest way to say no to them is to say yes, but attach a monetary value to that so that if the client values it that much, they can pay that much. Okay. And I get this a lot with people wanting to maybe only purchase one digital file. And so well, can we just get the digital file for this one? Well, I don't sell one digital file in my studio. And I say, well, you know what? Digital files are available in this way. And say it's 5 images. I sell them in a pack of 5. And they say, "Well, I really just want this one." I said, "I understand that." I said, "Just know that there you can get that digital file, but let's choose 5 other or 4 others and then you can get this package here." And they can make that decision. So that's what I like to do is I like to say no by saying yes but attaching a value to it or tucking it within the boundaries that I've put in place in my business so that they're not necessary. I'm not working for free. That's what it comes down to. I can't afford to work for free. I have to support my family. I have to justify with the money that I bring in the time that I spend away from my family and the time that I spend away from my home because that's really, really valuable time. And I'm not going to get that back. So if I'm going to be doing that work, I need to be able to make sure that I'm being compensated appropriately for it. We have the right to tell our clients no. We have the right for them not to necessarily love the answer that we get. And that is okay. So, when it comes to setting boundaries in our business, I think it's really important to remember that this is business. This isn't personal. Not everything is a personal attack. If your clients ask you to do something and you say no, they're not, first of all, they're not asking you because they're trying to insult you. They're not asking you because they're trying to degrade you in any other way. They just want to know if this can be done. And then you have the opportunity to say no or yes, but or yes, and yes, however, and then giving them the parameters of how you can do that kind of work for them, and then letting them decide if they want to follow through with that or not. So, boundaries are so very important in our business. Now, since it is December, and the reason why this has been on my heart so much is the fact that boundaries are also super, super important in our personal life. And I think everybody knows that. And I think almost everyone struggles with boundaries when it comes to the holiday time. Of how almost all of us are put in positions where we're asked to do something that maybe we don't feel 100% doing, making an extra something for Christmas dinner, buying a gift for someone that we don't feel so inclined to buy a gift for, sending out Christmas cards when you're not really feeling the cheer, that type of thing. And we want to say no. But many times, what we do is when we say no, we then also take on the emotional reaction and the emotional baggage that the person who has heard that no wants to throw back at us. So it makes us feel guilty. But there's nothing to feel guilty about. When you're asked to do something that either you don't have time to do, or is going to totally and completely stress you out, or you can't afford to do, or you just don't want to do. Because people can ask you whatever they want. It goes back to that same business principle that I have. That people can ask me to do whatever they want. Absolutely. There's no limit to that because I honestly don't think that people think that much when they're asking people to do other things. But I always have the option of saying no. Now, sometimes in family situations that gets a little sticky because you don't always feel like you have the option of saying no, but you do. Or you can reframe it and say, "You know what? I don't really want to make that side dish this year. Can I I want to bring this instead, okay? Or I am going to bring this instead. Instead of making it a question, just make it a statement. So say they've asked you to make a side dish that's going to take 5 hours of your time. I don't really know what would take 5 hours for a side dish, but there's probably a few things out there that take a lot of time and you don't have time to do it. You don't want to do it and you feel put upon by them even asking. So switch it up and say, I'm excited to bring a side dish and this year I've decided to do something different. So I'll surprise you on Christmas Eve. Or I'll surprise you at Christmas dinner. And that way you can bring what you want, even if bringing what you want means that you stopped at the grocery store the day before to pick up something pre-made. You're still satisfying that requirement. One thing I do know is that this holiday season is very, very different because my mom isn't around. And my mom was, the matriarch of the family. And I don't want to say that that has come down to me, but it kind of has come down to me because I'm the one with the family. My sister's not married and we have my dad, and that's it. We have a very small family. But one of the biggest blessings that mom gave us was the fact that holidays never ever had to be exactly the same. And I remember when we were young, she would cook and there would be so many different dishes and all that kind of thing. And then my sister and I became bratty teenagers. And we didn't want all that other stuff. We really only wanted like 3 or 4 really good things plus like the turkey at Thanksgiving or Christmas. And my mom got tired of making it. So one year she just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do all this work. Dory, you're going to make this. Edie, you're going to make this. She even gave my dad a job to do for the holidays or something. And I'm going to make this. She would say, I'm going to make the turkey and I'm going to make the stuffing. Anything else you girls want, you make. I don't care what it is. Just make something that you like. And by her taking that stance, it made me realize that, holiday times don't have to be the same year after year after year after year. You always had the choice to do something different. You always had the time to switch that boundary, to move the boundary and make it your own and make it something truly, truly unique. And to say, no, I don't want to do that this year. Instead, let's try this. Or don't put it instead. Just make it what you want it to be. So, those are some words that have just been on my heart in the past 2 weeks. Respect your boundaries, but know that they can always be moved. It's okay to say no and not take on the guilt of anyone else who's trying to shove that upon you. You don't have to shoulder that. Their reaction is their problem. As long as you are living in integrity, being honest with how you feel and how you're treating others, that's all you need to worry about. So this holiday season, I wish you the happiest, most blessed time. Enjoy your family. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today.